Welcome to the deep dive. Just hearing the word Titanic, it probably brings up a pretty specific image, maybe a feeling for you,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. It's definitely more than just a movie.
Yeah, it's like this huge cultural moment, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And a technical marvel too, but also just a really human story that kind of got stuck in everyone's head.
It really did. You mention it, and boom, people have a memory and emotion tied right to it. And what's really fascinating, I think, is why. Why does it still hit so hard, decades later?
Exactly. So that's kind of our mission today. We're going to do a deep dive into just that. Why James Cameron's epic, this story of love and loss on the unsinkable ship, still has such a hold on us.
Mhm.
We've sifted through a whole load of analyses, different takes on the film, really, to give you a shortcut to understanding its magic, why it lasts.
Yeah, we're aiming to unpack Cameron's original vision, which was pretty intense,
Right.
and how he wove together the history and the fiction so well. Those performances that just grounded the whole spectacle.
Unforgettable performances.
Totally. And of course, the tech stuff, the groundbreaking effects that actually made it all possible to watch.
Okay, let's start right there with James Cameron's vision, because this wasn't just like a standard studio assignment for him, was it?
Not at all. His fascination, it really kicked off when he saw footage of the actual wreck, the real Titanic.
Wow.
And it seems like he wasn't just aiming for a disaster flick. It was more like he wanted to build this meticulously researched time capsule. That was the goal, to really authentically recreate the ship, the time period, 1912, and the human side of it all.
And his dedication, it sounds almost like an obsession.
It bordered on it, yeah.
Yeah.
He actually led deep-sea dives himself to the wreck.
The director doing the dives.
Yeah, which is pretty wild for a director. Think about that level of commitment. Plus, he talked to historians constantly, dug really deep into the research, and he insisted on building these just enormous, unprecedented physical sets. Nothing like it had really been done before.
And all that authenticity push, it led to that massive budget, right? $200 million, which was a record back then.
It was huge.
I remember everyone talking about it, how nervous Hollywood seemed. It felt like such a massive gamble. What was it about his conviction, do you think? How did he get that kind of money pushed through when other big historical movies had, tanked?
Well, I think the key insight, maybe, was Cameron realizing it wasn't just about the big spectacle. To make that work, the emotional stuff, the core story, had to feel completely authentic, totally real.
Ah, okay.
So that $200 million wasn't just for the sinking ship visuals, though obviously a lot went there. It was for the obsessive historical detail that let you believe in Jack and Rose.
Right.
That made their fictional romance feel like it could have actually happened within that real setting.
Yeah.
And getting audiences that invested, that's pretty rare, especially for a historical disaster movie.
That makes a lot of sense. So, okay, you've got this incredibly detailed historical recreation, this obsession with getting it right. How do you then spin that into a human story that grabs millions, not just the history buffs? Which brings us to the screenplay, the narrative itself.
Well, the screenplay, I think, is genuinely brilliant in how it weaves the fact and the fiction.
Yeah.
Using that framing device, old
Francis
Rose.
Stewart.
Yeah, Gloria Stewart telling her story to the treasure hunters, Bill Paxton's crew in '96. That immediately connects the past to the present. It gives the whole thing this sort of timeless, reflective feel right from the start.
And right at the heart of it, you have that whirlwind romance. Rose DeWitt-Becorder, Kate Winslet's character, this rich young woman just suffocating under all the rules. And then Jack Dawson, Leonardo DiCaprio, this penniless artist who's just bursting with freedom and life. Their love story, it happens so fast, just days. But it's the anchor, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. And what's really clever, I think, is how the film uses them to explore the rigid class system of the time. That contrast between the super opulent first class and the, lively, vibrant steerage.
You really feel that difference.
Yeah. And their love story, it's not just about them running away. It's really about Rose waking up, rebelling against those constraints she's trapped in.
Yeah.
It's her finding herself, really, through connecting with Jack.
And you feel that pressure building the whole time, too. The script is so careful about building the tension, making us, the audience, aware of the iceberg way before anyone on the ship really is.
Exactly.
And then the disaster itself, it's not just like random chaos and destruction, is it?
No, not at all. It's incredibly well researched. It feels like a minute-by-minute retelling of the sinking, but woven through with Jack and Rose's desperate fight to survive.
Right.
And that just ramps up the personal stakes massively. That makes it so visceral for the audience, and that feeling, that gut punch.
Yeah.
You only get that because the performances are so strong. They anchor all that spectacle.
You're so right. The whole emotional weight really rests on Jack and Rose. Kate Winslet as Rose. I mean, that was a star-making performance, wasn't it? Just powerhouse.
Absolutely.
She gets that initial kind of fragility, but then the passion that grows, the courage, and just that resilience at the end. Those moments, like spitting in Cal's face.
Yes.
Or just her will to survive in that freezing water. They really stick with you.
And Leo DiCaprio as Jack. He just had this irresistible charm, didn't he? That infectious optimism, the warmth, their chemistry was just electric.
It really was.
That's the foundation of the whole movie, really. He makes Jack's sort of artistic soul, his protectiveness, and then his sacrifice at the end. Just incredibly moving. And that line, "I'm the king of the world," it wasn't just a slogan, it tapped into this feeling, this sense of possibility that just resonated everywhere.
Yeah, it really did. But beyond Jack and Rose, the film definitely gets a huge boost from the supporting cast too, doesn't it? Who else really stands out for you? Maybe adding different layers or just amplifying the main story?
Oh, for sure. Billy Zane is Cal. He's the perfect villain, isn't he? Just so arrogant and controlling.
Awful.
Yeah, but then you get these little flashes of panic, of cowardice that make him feel, well, hateably real.
Yeah.
And Frances Fisher as Ruth, Rose's mother, she's just chillingly good as this status-obsessed woman. And then you have Kathy Bates as Molly Brown. She brings such needed warmth and humor and that kind of down-to-earth courage. The unsinkable Molly Brown. She's a fantastic counterpoint to all the upper-class stiffness.
Yeah, she really is. They both, Cal and Ruth and Molly, they kind of underline the themes without taking away from Jack and Rose.
Exactly.
And I always thought Victor Garber as Thomas Andrews, the designer, was so good. That sort of quiet dignity conveying the pride, but also the awful guilt.
Poignant is the right word.
Yeah.
And then you've got Bill Paxton as Brock Lovett and Gloria Stewart as Old Rose, bookending the whole thing. They provide that really solid modern anchor, and she just brings this luminous grace to it all.
So, connecting all this, the vision, the story, the acting, what does it tell us about Cameron as a director on this?
He's juggling so much. Intimate moments like close-ups, whispers.
Right.
And then this epic scale. Sweeping shots, the chaos, the sheer size of the ocean, plus all the technical stuff. Thousands of extras, complex stunts. It feels like every single shot was thought through.
Absolutely. He somehow manages to balance the intimate drama with the huge spectacle and with this incredible technical precision.
And the pacing.
Yeah, the pacing. It's over 3 hours long.
3 hours, 14 minutes. But it earns it, doesn't it?
It really does.
That first act is quite leisurely. It takes its time setting up the world, the characters.
Yeah.
You get to know them.
You invest.
Exactly. Which makes the tension and the sheer terror of the second and third acts when everything goes wrong just utterly devastating. It's a masterclass in earning your runtime.
And the production itself, just the making of it, was kind of legendary too, right? That huge set.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They built a nearly full-scale replica of the Titanic. About 90%, I think, down in Rosarito, Mexico.
Incredible.
Grand staircases, the dining rooms, even the boiler rooms, all built with this obsessive detail.
Yeah.
And the whole set could tilt.
It could tilt into the water for the sinking scenes.
Yeah, it wasn't just a backdrop, it was practically a character in the movie.
So when we talk about groundbreaking effects, what was it specifically that Cameron and like ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, did that felt really new back then? Beyond just, putting CGI people in the background.
Well, digital water was a huge challenge for visual effects companies for years.
Right, hard to make look real.
Exactly. ILM figured out how to create a digital ocean that blended almost seamlessly with the practical sets, with that giant physical ship replica.
Yeah.
You got those huge sweeping shots where you genuinely couldn't tell where the real water stopped and the digital water started. That level of integration, blending the live action, the miniatures, the physical set, and the digital, it really set a new bar.
Yeah.
It made the scale of the disaster feel terrifyingly immediate.
And that level of craft just runs through everything. Deborah L. Scott's costumes, over 1,000 of them.
Meticulously researched, yeah. They add so much texture, so much authenticity. Just Rose's outfits alone tell a story about her journey.
True. And the cinematography, Russell Carpenter, it's so fluid, capturing the huge scale, but also the really intimate moments, that flying scene at the bow.
Pure visual poetry at sunset. Just iconic.
And the editing, too, keeping all those different stories going during the sinking, keeping the tension up. That must have been a nightmare to cut together.
Yeah, Conrad Buff, Cameron himself, Richard Harris. They did an amazing job balancing everything. And then the music, James Horner.
Oh, the score. You can't talk about Titanic without the score.
You really can't. It's just inseparable from the film's soul, isn't it? Those haunting Celtic flute themes, the big soaring strings.
And the song.
And the song. My Heart Will Go On, Celine Dion. It just elevates every single emotion. The romance, the fear, the sadness, the hope at the end. It's got to be one of the most famous movie soundtracks ever.
Absolutely. So all of this together, the vision, the craft, the story, the performances, it led to this undeniable legacy, didn't it? First film ever to hit $1 billion.
$1 billion. And it stayed #1 worldwide for, what, over 10 years? Eventually made over $2.2 billion.
What does that kind of insane success, especially from a project that felt so risky beforehand, tell us about the movie business back then?
It just completely changed the landscape. It proved audiences would show up for long, dramatic epics, even ones where they already knew the ending was tragic.
Right.
It wasn't just a hit. It redefined what a blockbuster could be. It showed the studios that if you told a really immersive, emotionally powerful story, even on a huge scale, you could break every financial record.
And the awards followed too. Tied Ben-Hur for the most Oscars.
11 wins, including Best Picture, Best Director for Cameron, just a massive sweep.
And the cultural impact was just everywhere. Those lines, "I'm the king of the world, draw me like one of your French girls."
Enter the language.
Totally. The Celine Dion song was inescapable for years. It launched Leo and Kate into absolute superstardom, and it sparked this whole renewed interest globally in the actual Titanic story. It had ripples.
So it really begs the question, doesn't it? Why does it still grab people so much all these years later?
Yeah, what's the secret?
Well, I think beneath all the spectacle, the amazing visuals, it boils down to a really universal story. You've got forbidden love, fighting against society's rules, finding the courage to be yourself, and then that terrifying reminder of how fragile life is when faced with nature or fate or whatever you want to call it, and a power of memory, of sacrifice. It makes history feel incredibly personal, visceral. Few films manage that.
So wrapping this up, our final take. Titanic really is a masterpiece of huge, grand-scale filmmaking, but it never, ever loses sight of the human heart at its center. Cameron's ambition was off the charts, and the technical execution across the board, sets, effects, costumes, music, editing was pretty much flawless. It created this world you just fell into.
But ultimately, it's those central performances, isn't it? DiCaprio and Winslet, they just radiate star power, but also this really authentic, heartbreaking emotion. That's what makes the journey unforgettable. That's what connects us to the human story inside all that grandeur.
Yeah. It's a film that makes you believe in that intense whirlwind love, makes you shudder at the arrogance, makes you cry at the loss, and just marvel at what movies can achieve. It really isn't just about a ship sinking, is it? It's about the human spirit soaring, fighting, loving, enduring against just impossible odds.
Truly unsinkable in its impact.
So here's something to think about. Looking back at all this meticulous detail we've talked about, this obsession with getting it right, what does that tell you about the enduring power of just telling a story really, really well?